Hello, friends and family. It's day 63, cycle 3, day 20. Welcome to my daily vlog, where I share my quest to crush aggressive diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, stage 4, ICD code C83.39, and we're using the R-EPOCH immunotherapy chemotherapy to crush Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, NHL. Thank you so much for joining me on the journey today. Let's get into my mental health HeadSpace Noodle. Been working really hard on this Noodle today and last night. I've decided that my new space today is preparing for battle, right? This is a battle that I need to win. So I'm preparing for battle. Tomorrow morning, in the bad weather, it's supposed to snow, I will be driving myself to the radiology place next to the hospital, and hopefully I'll be getting my PET scan. I spoke to the doctor this morning. He wasn't sure if he would get results by Friday, so it might be something I have to wait till Monday till, but we're going to roll with it, right? It is what it is. All right, so we'll go more into that later in the doctor news, but let's get started so preparing for battle. I have 3 quotes for you. Just trying to adjust my, like we talked about yesterday, adjust my thought process to make myself, more where I need to be. Number 1, in preparing for battle, I have always found that plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. Dwight D. Eisenhower. I'd have to agree, right? My plans to crush lymphoma mean very little, but planning, putting myself in the right headspace, having all of the support I have, eating the right things, doing the right things, that kind of planning. What do I do if I get a bad result? What do I do if I get a good result? All those types of things, they're helping me win the battle, so I'm going to keep it up. All right, quote number 2. You may have to fight a battle more than once to win it. Well, so if my battle, Margaret Thatcher. I have to agree with this because if my battle is cancer, this is my 3rd time fighting it. So what the heck? Oh, goodness gracious. All right, last one. Oh, and I have a little visual to go with this. Maybe I won't have to record it. We'll see. If it doesn't take, then I'll type it on the screen. If it does, you guys got some pretty stuff. Here we go. Let's see if I'm not sure if that's good enough. So the quote is, "She believed she could, so she did," by R.S. Gray. Very pretty. All right, so that was my 3rd quote. Boom. So I think all those quotes are kind of lining my brain up. This is a battle and I need to win it. I need to prepare. I need to not focus on those things that were distracting me, that were bringing me down, and I need to focus on the forward and winning the battle. So that's my plan. Thank you all for your very kind words in the comments and your messaging. I really appreciate it. All right, so let me get on to the to-do list. Not so good and so productive today, but not horrible either. I went to work, had several meetings, and put together some good data, to prepare us for the next stage of my new assignment. I got all dolled up. Well, makeup up, not makeup free. How's that? I had a doctor's appointment this morning. That went without, that was unremarkable. I had a robotics meeting. They called me later in the afternoon at their machine. They finger stick me to do a CBC before I start chemo to make sure that your blood counts are at an acceptable level to be able to tolerate chemotherapy. And I guess the machine's broken, and with the storm coming tomorrow, they weren't sure they would get somebody to fix it. So they asked me to come in today to get the CBC that they would send out to the lab. Hopefully lab's working tomorrow. So that they'll have it in time for me on Friday. So fingers crossed that all that lines up properly and I don't show up and they don't have my CBC. And finally, I checked something off my to-do list. A load of laundry is in the washer as we speak. So I've done half of the job. I just have to move it to the dryer later, as soon as Sam gets his stuff out of there. But it does feel good to get that off my list. Yay. All right, and last but not least is my charity miles. Dun, dun, dun. I was able to walk a little bit last night, and I walked again today, very slowly, very relaxed, because I think I mentioned already my PT said no exercise, but I think walking, that kind of doesn't really count as exercise as long as it's like a slow, metered, I wasn't speed walking or anything like that, so fingers crossed it doesn't impact anything. And as collectively, I can see 6 folks that have signed up. It says that we have 8 folks on our team, but 2 have not yet walked anything, so I can't see them in the list, walked or ran or biked. But I'm sure they'll get there. Thank you for joining. And collectively, we've moved. I'll say we've moved 35.5 miles, which is excellent. Good job, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on Team Crush NHL. I feel like we're accomplishing something. And we're all moving, so that's all big thumbs up. Good job. All right, so what's on my... So that's it for today, I think. And let's move to the to-do. To-do, I have my PET scan, weather permitting. I called them this evening, and said, what's your process to let me know if there's any issue? I have to be there tomorrow morning. I think I have to be there at 8:30. It's only about 20 minutes away, but with the weather being bad, I would probably leave maybe double that. I'd rather be waiting in the parking lot than not make it on time and delay it or not have the scan. So I'd say 45, maybe even an hour, just in case. It's not that far. It's probably 10 to 15 miles, I'm going to say. I forget, it might be 12-ish, if I remember correctly. But given the weather and, whatever. So I called them to ask what the plan was, and they said that they would notify me by phone if it was delayed or postponed, or to reschedule, which made me sad. No reschedule. I've already waited a long time for this test. But and they also recommended that I call just before I leave, and they could confirm that everything's on plan. But as of this today, and I called like maybe 4:45. So as of today, they're planning to be in the office, and that's the way it goes. From what I saw of the snowstorm, it's supposed to start around daybreak. Since I'm leaving at 8:30, that's only a few hours, so I'm hopeful there won't be that much. At the doctor's, at the radiology side, there's a deck, so my car will be covered. I think the only issue will be getting home. I think I'm going to be there till 11:30 would be my guess, based on what I know. But we'll see how that rides. Maybe they'll get me out a little sooner if things go to plan. Who knows? But I went here. This is the same location that I went for the PICC line, and it was very delayed. But that might have been the case with the radiologist for that. I don't know. And then in the afternoon, I plan to work. I'll be off work on Friday because I'm starting chemotherapy. And then I do have a robotics meeting tomorrow. And I would like to work on my new sweater and finish it off tomorrow, but we'll see. I did not work on it at all today. I did try it on. I think it is done. I just do the side seam. I think I want to do the side seam a little different than I did on the last sweater, so I'm kind of considering how I want to get that done. And then I'm deciding, I did some research today on the punch needle and like the material, and if I wanted to make it a circular rug, for the living room, how I would go about getting the materials and so forth and so on. So I'm still doing a bit of research on that. And it's very interesting. Certainly would be easier if I could go to the store, but it looks like I need to put together an order virtually, which is kind of a pain, I think. In any case, it is what it is. But it's not really on my to-do list just yet. I'm just kind of doing the beginning research, so we'll see how that rides. And I guess just going back to the mental health status, I'm not feeling horrible. I'm not feeling as weighted down as I felt yesterday. I am trying to rev up, let go of that, readjust my thought process to the power, right? And I'm just kind of rolling with it. I think some of it, in addition to all the other things we talked about, might just be the length of time, right? We're 60 days in, and there's probably at least 60 days to go. and maybe more if the PET scan says not things that we're hoping for. So I think some of that's weighing. I think that I'm handling it fairly well, and I've said over and over again how grateful I am that I have more good days than bad. But I'd rather not have any bad days, honestly, and it's just getting to be a lot. I'm getting tired, and I just need to replenish. Now, I know come next weekend, I'll be resting constantly, so I probably shouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth, right? All right, let's go. So thank you. If you came today for the story time, thank you for joining me, and I'm going to get into status. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for coming. All right, let's talk about eating. Status of eating. No nausea. Still have some chemo mouth. No throat pain or teeth pain. That's all good. My weight is in range. I forgot I checked this morning and I've already forgotten what it was. I know it's in the range. Within 3 kilos of what I started it, but I can't remember exactly what it is. My fluid in was excellent, 94 ounces. So that's 2.8 liters, which is good. And my out was 2.7 liters. So that's practically the same. I'm thrilled with that. I've had a lot of days where my out was more. So I think that's great. 100 liters or cc's is very much nothing. So I'm very thrilled. Thumbs up. And I think tomorrow, and maybe even Friday, I'm going to try the electrolyte drink that I got. And I think that'll help with some of my numbers as well. So that's kind of my plan. Fingers crossed. All right, so that's in and out. We're good. All right, let's talk about my other chemotherapy symptoms that have really been very good this week, I think. Not much I can complain about. The neuropathy is still there a bit, but it's not horrible. The hair loss is status quo. I'll give you a little spin about. You let me know if you think it's getting more or less. It still feels like kind of a little spiky. I mean, I feel a little bit of hair. I know there's not much there, but I still feel a little, so it feels like it. I think a few weeks ago it was darker in the back of my head, and I'm not seeing the darkness as much anymore, so I must be losing, but it's not. I don't know. It is what it is. I don't mind the bald. It's very, and I have to tell you guys a little secret. The shower, speedy when you don't have to wash the hair and condition the hair and all that stuff. I'm like, boom, it's excellent. I did notice that I guess I should maybe add a status for skin. Some of my skin, I'm not digging the skin, like the skin on my neck, and there's some spots on my face, I think that are scaly and dried out. And so I'm going to start looking at maybe some creams, or I have coconut oil. Maybe I just slather it on every so often. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. All right, so I should add that to a status. I'm going to take a note. Wait a moment. Skin. All right. Nose clots, yes. Night sweats, Doctor asked me about those today. I said they're still there, but they're not crazy. Not like I had, before. And it's hard for me to tell. Are they a result of the cancer? I guess night sweats is a big symptom of lymphoma. So, he asked me, did I notice any new lumps? I have not. And asked me about the night sweats and the neuropathy. Night sweats is a big symptom of, a sign or symptom of lymphoma. And I was sweating a lot pre-diagnosis and even, the first cycle. But night sweats, I mean. And the things we tell our brain, it's like, oh, it must be menopause or this or that. Not so much. Anywho, I have to be more aware of cancer symptoms, I think, is the moral of my story. 3 unique cancers, right? All right, headache, no. Fatigue, no. I have to tell you guys a little secret, though. So I've been very conscientious the last 3 days to limit my carbohydrates. They're only coming to me in high protein dense foods. Like nuts have a little bit, and eggs or whatever. Whatever I'm eating, there's carbs, right? Even vegetables, whatever. So that's fine, So I have some protein powder that makes like an iced coffee, and it has caffeine in it. So the last 2 days I've had that as like just something different to have. And I do like 1 scoop of chocolate protein powder and 1 scoop of the iced coffee protein powder. So I have like a little mocha iced coffee, and it's quite yummy, but I am ingesting a fair, like for me, it's a fair amount of caffeine. I haven't been drinking caffeine very much, so revving me up. I will probably stop that shortly because the prednisone starts on Friday. Don't want to be part of that. Don't want to be part of that. All right, so let's see. Fatigue, red skin, no. Chemo brain, I don't think so, but you guys keep me honest. If you think it is here, let me know. Okay, doctor news. So I did talk to my doctor today. What did he say? He did recommend that I get the vaccine. He said that, getting the vaccine, there's a risk that it could delay my treatment because I could get sick or it could cause some type of issue that would delay my treatment. But he felt that the risk of not being treated and the risk of getting COVID are equal, and therefore I should take the vaccine whenever I can get it. And further, he said you should take it even no matter where you are in your cycle. If it's just, during getting chemo, or if it's just after, or even just before the next one, you should take the vaccine. So I have to talk it over with Bill a little bit more. We're still undecided for him. And further, I think also that I would only be interested in getting the vaccine if I could get it in relative proximity. Because then the doctor told me a story about one of his patients from our area that's driving all the way down to Atlantic City tomorrow in the snowstorm or ice storm, whatever they have down there, to get her shot tomorrow, her vaccine. I'm like, yeah, I don't see myself driving several hours to go get a vaccine at this point in my life. Because I think, and maybe I'm deluded, I think that's the right use of the word deluded. I think we live a pretty sheltered life. I think I'm highest risk when I go to the clinic to get my chemotherapy. Like, otherwise we're home. We rarely go out. And when we go out, like today when I went to the clinic, I hand sanitized and all that. And as I was leaving, they have a hand sanitizer. So I hand sanitize. I have a little, they call it a COVID key, but it opens doors and stuff, so I don't have to touch doors that other people have touched. I know I have issues. It's a brass key, and I open the doors, and then when I'm not touching the doors, my hands go into my pockets. I walk down the steps without touching the handrail. I open the doors with the thing. When I exited the building, I use the handicapped area, so I use my elbow to push the button and it opened the door automatically. So I really am very, very cautious. And, nobody besides the visiting nurses come into the house. And we leave for no reason, right? We do delivery on our groceries or curbside pickup where I'm not really in direct contact with anybody. So I think I'm not saying COVID isn't a risk. It's definitely a risk. And I think Bill and I are at high risk of getting it because we're both immunocompromised. But I think we've been very overly, extremely cautious with our exposures, I guess is what I'll say. And the boys, my boys, are in their 20s. They rarely go out as well, unfortunately, because they're trying to protect us. And, sometimes they do go to the pharmacy or do things for us. They run the riskier, I guess we'll call it, errands. But again, masked, wash your hands when you get home, all those things. So we're taking all those precautions. And I'm not disinterested in getting the vaccine. I'm a little concerned about some of the symptoms I'm seeing for the second shot in combination with how I'm feeling with the chemotherapy. But from a medical perspective, he said that, even though lymphoma is a cancer of the lymphatic and immune system, that it would be okay for me to get the vaccine. He did say it could be less effective for me because my immune system's compromised, so it won't respond properly. And so that is what it is, but I guess we're going to ride it out and see what happens. I might go on and register and see if we can get it. So that was number one. The vincristine, I believe, is the drug that's causing the neuropathy. And he said since it's reduced and it's been improving after I was on it, he'd like to do another cycle at full dose. Sad face. I knew he was going to do that. Didn't I tell you guys last week or a couple weeks ago that he said when we could stop after the third one or lower it? But I'm like, I bet you he goes to the fourth one. And I was right. I did tell him that it got much worse this ride, where it was like up further in my fingers, and that when I was at my desk, it was like all the way up my arm a couple times. But now it was really pretty much on the tips of my fingers again. And he said, as long as it improves like this, then he would want it to continue another round. So were there, sad face. And then he finally warned me that the chemotherapy comes up from Memphis, Tennessee, from FedEx. And I guess with all the storms in the south, they're having problems. So there was a possibility that my chemo date might get moved because they couldn't get the poison up here. The infusion, the 4-day infusion, they don't have any trouble with that. That's being made at another location, and they called me today for delivery. So those 4 days are coming, but the same day stuff, the stuff I have to do at the clinic on Fridays, there's a possibility. But he said at the time that he spoke to me that he hadn't been notified that there was any issue. So far so good. We're doing it. And I think that is all I have today. Again, I said it earlier, but I want to say again. Oh no! I forgot Angel Deliveries. All right, let me hit Angel Deliveries, and then we'll be done. So I got this very lovely... Ooh! Oh no! I dropped it. Sorry, guys. Well, now you can't really see. I got this very lovely... she believed she could, so she did insight cards. It's a package of 50 cards, which I just dropped all over the floor. And, there's all different quotes on them that were quite beautiful. And I received them from a close friend who has some very significant tragedy in her life. And she indicated that these cards have given her some solace and some power and something to focus on bad days and so forth. So I'm very excited. And that card that I shared with you at the beginning was from the deck. So I don't know, maybe we'll include one of these in every day's quotes in addition to whatever quotes I find. And then, and I think that is it. So thank you so much. This is beautiful and helpful to refocus my thoughts in the direction they need to go. Thank you thank you, Angel. Okay. And that is all I have. So thank you so much to everyone who's been lifting me up and your kind words and your power. And I know this is typically my good period, and I'm not sure where my brain is going and why it's giving me so much trouble this week, but we'll get there. And I know I'm going to be ready for the next battle in this war, this quest, and we'll get it done. So thank you so much. I love you. Remember, every day is a gift. Live it.